Get ready to do life and business on your terms and truly live your big ticket life. You either make excuses or you choose to level up. What amazing guests living the big ticket life. Woo! Woo! Brandon Brittingham.
Appreciate you having me here today, man.
It's that kind of discernment, that kind of focus, that kind of forward thinking that's so important if you're going to succeed in business today.
Jeff and I are like friends. We're real friends.
We are and so you unlock fortune and freedom without all the stress that normally comes along with it.
It all comes down to your why. Your business, why are you doing it? How is it going to change the world and what's it going to do for your family?
I want you to celebrate your success.
Talk about the struggle. But I promise you, the story is in your struggle.
They'll never be able to say that about me because people only see me working hard at anything that I'm doing whenever they see me.
Focus on your success and the success of those around you.
But being that constant in your community, good or bad, whether things are great in the community, bad in the community, who's steady?
Unapologetically do business and life on your terms and truly live your big ticket life. What amazing guests living the big ticket life. And we discuss how they do it and the big ticket methods they use. The things that make your life successful so you do life and business on your terms.
In and of itself, the only limitations that we really have on ourselves is the ones that we allow to be put on ourselves. And most people don't look at it in that perspective.
There's nothing wrong with being humble, but there's also nothing wrong with stepping into your superpower and letting people know who you are.
Get ready to do life and business on your terms and truly live your big ticket life. All right. Michael, welcome, man. Good to have you on the show.
Thanks for having me on. I appreciate it.
Yeah, so you're like pretty busy this last couple weeks, traveling to Brazil this week, end of this week. You're in Tampa. You got your Power Up event. What's going on with that?
Yeah, we're world travelers here. Actually, this week is I'm going to be flying up to Toronto on Thursday morning to go to a friend's event there, and then meet with a builder, which I've been doing some work for in the past, cool. And then flying down to Tampa Friday morning to do the Power Up event at Cigar City Brewing on Friday evening, doing it with Jeremy Schreifels. That's the night, and it's kind of a mastermind networking event. We did one similar in Pennsylvania.
Yeah, I was there.
Good you event. Were there, and we're kind of doing the same thing, and we're doing that for people who have events. This is now for Miranda Jiggins' event, the Total Boss event on Saturday.
Yep.
Which we'll be going to that, and then Sunday and Monday is Stacy Rasky's event, which is the Alpha influential Alpha mastermind. So I'll be there for that. And then traveling down to Fort Myers because we're doing some fix and flip down there. We have some efforts going on. We're looking for, to help investors and people who want to purchase property. There's a big hurricane that came through there.
Yeah.
And there's just a lot of opportunity down there. And then last couple of days, I'll go see Mom in Delray Beach and then fly back here. So that's my week coming up. But I did go to Brazil. I got married.
Yeah, congratulations. I saw that.
Yeah, I had my, that's the third marriage, but that's it. After this, that's it.
Okay.
Yeah.
So I guess we could joke third time's the charm there.
Yes, that's the premise, and third time's the charm. But she's a good woman, and we're trying to get her here. We have to get her here on a visa, and it takes time. It's I don't know. It's an anomaly. We're married, but we're apart. But we're looking to move that forward. So we'll get her here.
Yeah. So man, you've got a lot going on. I mean, so I wasn't even aware that you had gotten into the real estate aspect of things. So talk about that. Like what?
Yeah.
Because I mean, a lot of folks. I mean, I remember. I lost out on a deal through some
through some legal issues because basically the judging party in arbitration didn't understand that there's like 937 other ways to affect a real estate transaction. They only knew, and maybe a lot of people listening, they think of real estate as the sign that sits in your front yard, you know, and it's listed with a realtor, and like that's the only basis that they've ever understood real estate gets done. But there's a lot of different things. So what's your involvement? What are you doing there?
Well, there's a couple of different, transactions that I've done in the past, and one of them was like I'm going to visit a builder up in Canada, and I met him through another mastermind, and he's like, "Yeah, we're looking for land in the U.S." I'm like, "Oh, I have a developer that's looking to partner and sell some land," and we got that done, and we also ended up financing that, which is great. That's down in Ocala, and now he's looking to build condos and townhomes. So hopefully, I can try to help him with that. And in the meantime, there's other opportunities that pop up. You know, I got my real estate license end of last year, and just looking to help people, developers, and people who want to invest. We have an opportunity in the Fort Myers area. The big hurricane came through, Hurricane Ian, and just destroyed everything. Like it was like 1 mile per hour away from a Category 5 hurricane,
Right.
which is devastation. But it's devastation down there. Like if you go to Fort Myers Beach, it's just piles of rubble, like things lifted off the foundation and floated away. Like that's and then a lot of other homes had 4 foot, storm surge, like 4 foot of like ocean came into their home.
Right.
And that's all around the area. So what we're doing is we're looking for those homes. A lot of the owners are just throwing up their hands and walking away, getting what they can for it. And then they're collecting the insurance money, which doesn't even help with fixing half of the home. So they're giving up. And what we're doing is we're seeing these opportunities, and we're going in and we're finding investors or people who want to participate in that opportunity to buy these homes. We renovate them, and then we fix them and flip them. And then there's a profit, a really nice profit that's made. And we split that with the people who put up the money. And then now we're also looking to target to purchase those homes on our own and, do the same thing. There's a lot of opportunity down there.
Yeah. Yeah. So, that's like, I'm really proud of you and impressed. It didn't seem to me that like that long ago that you weren't too sure what you'd be all up to, what you'd be all involved in. You got the Alpha Dad project. I know the relationship with your daughters is really important. So why don't you talk about, where Alpha Dad came from? And, I know I talked with you at that last Power Up event, which, by the way, anybody that wants to attend the Power Up event, they can hit you up on your socials. Because it's kind of a neat thing that you're doing with that. I'm having a circular conversation here. That's where I met you. I think the first time in person, we got to talk about your daughters, your relationship with them. And it was, I think, really the beginnings of Alpha Dad, but it is topical. Power Up event is this Friday evening in Tampa, bookended on to the Total Boss event that our friend Miranda Jiggins is putting on. You get your own ticket though through the Power Up event. Is there a place to go, or do people just connect with you right here through social media?
Yeah, if you want to go, I have the links in my bio and Instagram. It's The Real Michael Power, at The Real Michael Power, and I also have posts that I post. Michael Power on Facebook. You can check out those links and sign up. I'm trying to close it down, tomorrow on Wednesday. The whole thing. Well, the whole I had, as I mentioned before, two marriages that ended, 2 ex-wives. And the second one was kind of an eye-opener, I guess, for me, and where, we had a home, we had 3 beautiful girls, and I had a business that I started that, the business wasn't doing that well, a lot of financial, strains, and, my ex-wife took the kids and left. So I ended up in my office in the strip mall on the air mattress. And that's kind of where I lived. And I went to shower at like Planet Fitness. And I did that for about a year. So it just kind of like, you know, you have a home and everything, you think everything's great, and all of a sudden, I guess God came down and just kind of smacked me down and said, the way you're living is not right, and you gotta wake up and get yourself in order, and that kind of, pushed me to do things like listen to podcasts like yours. I joined Arate, listening to Andy Frisella, Ed Milet. It's been very influential. And from there, we found Apex with Ryan Stewman, and just surrounding myself with great people who are doing fantastic things. Like you're doing great things, out with your business, and then doing things like this podcast. And
Right.
I started the podcast Crushing Your Fear. Because I had a lot of fear, and the fear was so bad it was manifesting into like stress-induced eczema. I'm like, what the heck is that? And the doctor said, yeah, they took a biopsy and said, yeah, it's stress-induced eczema. I'm like, what is that? And it's just the stress was so much that I'm like, this is not good. This is not normal. So I just worked on myself to try to get myself better and be a father for my daughters, which is what I wanted to do. And I'm like, all right, well, I started the Crushing Your Fear podcast. We had people on. I had you on to talk about their fears, how they overcome them. I ended up writing a book about it, Crushing Your Fear, which is on Amazon. It was like a #1 Amazon bestseller. And
we've got it always pays to watch the show. We do stream this show live every Tuesday at noon. Most weeks, last week had to call an audible, but still got the show in for the week on a Friday. But most Tuesdays at noon we're live, so you should watch the show, check it out, because we bring you some visual appeal. You're like 230 plus episodes in, man. That's awesome on your podcast.
I do like 3 a week, and
that's fantastic.
Usually I do like 1, 2 of them are me just talking about stuff.
Yep.
I just like listen to other podcasts, or if something comes up out of reading, I just jot it down and I just kind of record, a couple, like a 5-minute thing, and we put them out Monday and Friday. We do that, and then on Wednesdays we do an interview, like with you or other great guests.
Right. That's a lot of. That's tremendous commitment to it. Probably in a way, it kind of keeps you grounded, keeps your schedule focused, right? Keeps your mind. I saw your one title of a podcast is Your Vibe Attracts Your Tribe. That level of commitment to this medium of podcasting probably keeps your mind engaged in a certain way. You're on a certain level all the time, right? I would imagine.
Yeah, just speaking, just talking about or reading it or writing it, it reinforces that stuff in me, listening to it the next day after it's published, and I'm like, all right, so it's kind of coming from me, going onto paper, and then I speak it, then I listen to it. So it's kind of reinforcing that stuff in me, and if I find myself going off course, I'm like, what am I doing? I just told myself the other day that this is what you're supposed to do. And you're off course, like what's going on? So, and by that way, I just put it out there. If I can help one person with that, then I'm okay.
Right.
So we just keep going.
Right. So you had a reset in life where you said God kind of came and smacked you down. Did you feel that moment of getting smacked down was when you were sleeping in your office at your business, or like, where do you feel there was a turning point, or maybe a couple turning points where you're like, all right, I'm going to really course correct?
After, we got the whole divorce papers signed off on, I opened up the mail and saw the judge approved it, and I'm like, okay. And then I went to a closing on my house. We just sold my house to somebody else. And then I went back to my office there, and I just sat there and I said, what the hell just happened? And then my business was failing. It continued to fail. I didn't have any access to capital, and I had, landlords asking me for rent and banks asking me for money. Now I have to pay child support, and it was just kind of a vice. And I'm like, what? How did I end up here? You look at it, and it's because of yourself, because of
Sure.
me and my decisions and my actions. And it's just, that's the second divorce. I mean, I never planned it. You know, you don't get married to somebody and have kids with them to have a divorce happen.
Right.
But it's very common, you know, and that's where the whole alpha dad thing came to life, because I've learned a lot of lessons as a dad, as a person who lost two partners, and now I have another partner here, married again. So this is not going to happen again.
Right. Right.
Yeah.
So what's the goal of your Alpha Dad project? Who should be attracted to that? You know, what are you doing in there?
Alpha Dad is, you know, it's kind of like honing it down. Like there's a lot of fear out there, which you and I talk about offline. We don't want to get canceled, so we keep it offline. But there's a lot of fear that's being propagated, and also, you know, society is just kind of emasculating men.
Mhm.
And there's a lot of fathers out there and husbands who are kind of lost. They don't know where they are. They
Well,
don't know where to go. And yeah.
I mean, look, I'm not going to pull any punches. I'm kind of tired of having doing that anymore. I said to my wife, you know, we were talking about the Bud Light campaign, and my producer Chris is like, "Oh boy, where's Jeff going now?" But I was talking about that campaign, and I'm like, "Wait a minute, you know." So Anheuser-Busch, obviously a big company. You can vote. I'm happy when people vote with their wallet. Go ahead and do it. Freedom of choice, right? I truly
Yeah.
believe that, and that statement cuts both ways, right?
Mhm.
But here's what bothered me the most about that, because I've got a lot of women friends that are really into sports and are more knowledgeable than I am, especially as it relates to basketball and to March Madness.
Mhm.
And in that video, that moment where I forget the person's name, Dylan something.
Dylan Mulvaney.
Right. When that person is playing ditzy headed, as though that's what a woman is, and that's what a woman does, and that's how a woman should act around sports.
Mhm.
I'm like, am I the guy in this moment being a feminist for women, standing up for women, saying, whoa, 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 you can't just generalize women like this. This is wrong. And so,
Yeah.
you know, we're not going to go down the road about Dylan, but we're going to go down the road about these broad sweeping stereotypes for me that just say, oh, well, if you think this or you say that, then you fit in this exact box. And it's
No.
just so utterly wrong. So I love what you're doing, that, you know, you're creating a place for men to come together. Because, you know, to me, that's what bothered me the most about that, is the broad sweeping generalization that women are dumb when it comes to NCAA basketball and March Madness, that they're just idiots. I thought that was so wrong, because I've got 3 women in my life that I'm connected to, who could just, I wouldn't bet against them. I wouldn't do a bracket against them. I wouldn't pretend to be able to have a conversation with them about basketball on any level. It's just not my sport, but that doesn't, you know, to just generalize like that, I thought was so utterly wrong.
Well, that's part of just the whole division that's happening in the media, and the whole goal of divide and conquer. That's what's happening right now.
Right.
And it just causes people to have arguments, you know? I mean, we had an argument. We were at the Easter dinner, right? And the topic came up, and then my kids were like, watch TikTok, and they like Dylan Mulvaney. And I'm like, you know, you realize this guy or this woman he was on Ellen as a man. He did the Mormon Book of Mormon on Broadway as a man. And all of a sudden, he's kind of furthering his career as a woman. You have to look at it that way. And then, you know, we get in an argument about it. I'm like, I don't want to get in an argument. I'm just telling you what the facts are.
Right.
You know, so I love everybody. I think everybody should do whatever they want, you know, and if that's his choice or her choice, then that's okay. You know, I think where it gets fuzzy is when they start forcing this stuff on individuals and start dividing people. That's not good.
No,
That's
I
not
would
good.
agree.
You know,
I would agree 100% with you there. So, you've been pushing through. You wrote the book, Crushing Your Fear.
Mhm.
Tell me a little bit about that and like why you decided to write a book and really what's that book authorship done for you? What doors has it opened up?
Well, yeah, I mean, who would have known? Like, if you asked me, I don't know, 5 years ago, yeah, be writing a book about crushing your fear. I'm like, you never know where you're going to be in life, and it does establish you as like, yeah, I'm an author. Here's my book. Let me sign it for
Mhm.
you. So it gives you it kind of anchors you in. Is like, all right, this guy wrote a book. So he's been through it. He knows what he's talking about. At least I think I know what I'm talking about. But there's different chapters in each in book, and we cover different areas of society. Fear in media, fear in education, fear in relationships, fear in medicine, and it just explores how each area is kind of using fear to manipulate people
Mm.
into thinking a certain way, and also experiencing fear. Like I experienced a lot of fear. I mean, it manifested in this stress-induced eczema. It's crazy, right? That's
Right.
the power
Right.
fear has for you, and fear in government. Throughout history. I mean, you don't have to look at it recently. You can look at throughout history where whoever wanted the population to act a certain way, they just instill fear on them. I see it happening today as well. So we really got to realize when it comes and what people are trying to do, and make your mind up for yourself. We can talk about the C word. I don't know if you want to, with the whole jabs that happen and people are getting boosters and more boosters
Mhm.
and more. I'm like, what are you doing? And then they end up getting it in anyway. End up getting the disease anyway.
Yeah.
you know and
Yep.
like, what does that mean? Like, what happened there? So I
Yeah.
think people they have to realize it for themselves. But if I can help somebody with that, through the book, and kind of open their eyes a bit, and kind of just, I don't know, just give my take on it. It kind of establishes you as an author, and somebody who can speak about those different topics. And
Right.
basically I'm also a CPA, so when I do the spreadsheets and put them in a folder, it really doesn't help people. But if I can kind of do the Crushing Your Fear or the Alpha Dab, that's something I can contribute back to society and actually help people.
Yeah. So, I mean, on the topic of fear, looking back, so I guess so it was a CPA firm that you had that just didn't work out. Is that right?
No, well, I'm still doing the CPA thing. I'm kind of a
Okay.
sole proprietor, so it kind of morphs in and out, but it does keep money coming in to
Right.
do things, to do like this, this podcast here,
Right.
to be part of masterminds in order to learn more, so I can help other people.
But
Um,
when you were, to go back in that second marriage with your daughters, it was kind of coming to a head. Business wasn't going well. You were in a rough spot. What was it the fear? What was the fear that came in? Because it had to have been fear, I think, if I'm hearing you right. Um, what was it that was like really holding you back from success in that business in that moment when you look back on it?
well, I was still doing the daytime job as the CPA, the auditor, director of audit, and then I had I had a brewery, actually, which was
Mm,
something that I did.
that's right. I forgot that you had that.
That was the business. So, and when we started, it was great, but in order to progress and move forward, you need a lot of capital, and my
Hmm.
credit wasn't really great, and nobody really wanted to lend me any more money. So it's kind of, where do we go from here? And then the kind of the business was morphing, like the packaging was morphing, and it was like a lot of downward pressure towards prices, and it's like, all right, so I tried to do something to, because doing the CPA thing, you're in a cube. Like, how can you contribute? And I'm like, is this it? Is this my life?
Right.
Like, staying in this cube and doing this? So that's why I started the brewery, and it went well. But it's now, okay. Now I have a business, and now it's not going too well. I'm creating a lot of pressure, and I'm going to kind of lose everything. And that's kind of what happened. That's what happened.
Right. Yeah.
So the fear of that, losing everything, I mean, it's what happened. So,
Yeah.
and where do you go from there? So you learn your lesson, you learn lessons from the past, and that's how I'm doing the Alpha Project, to try to help people who are heading in that direction, to kind of say, hold on, there's a better way. Let's take a look at what you're doing. What's coming up for you. Like, what are your emotions? How are people treating you? How are your kids treating you? How's your spouse treating you?
Yeah.
What's going on with your business? What happened in the past with you?
Right.
And kind of
Right.
just a kind of a holistic, try to avoid what happened to me.
Right. Well, I mean, I think, first of all, kudos to you for taking that leap to get into the brewery. There's a lot of people that just, they go and spend their entire life in that cubicle, right? Because that's what certainly your generation, my generation, my age group, your age group was taught. You go, you do the 9 to 5, you work hopefully in one spot all your life, and you get the retirement, and then you're into retirement, right? Like that was the dream. Whose dream? Well, that's what the dream that was sold. So kudos to you for trying something. Obviously, it didn't work out. And just as a side note, we've got a friend in Apex, Dennis Morales, who's owns Drink Labs, and anybody listening and watching that heard the brewery thing are like, I've been thinking about trying that. Maybe I could talk to Michael about it, and I'm sure you could, but distribution is the big thing there, right? Like you've just got to have the distribution plan. Dennis tells me a lot of folks with a lot of marquee, a lot of celebrity star power come to them with ideas, but if there's not a plan for distribution, or as you said, capital and deep capital, like if they're not willing to put a big chunk of their money in play to kind of manhandle that distribution, it's going to fail. But
you need the capital, you need the distribution. I had distributors. I had 2 distributors, and actually I self-distributed at one point, and whatever we made, like my system wasn't a large system, it was like a 7-barrel system. We could make like 200 gallons at a time, but whatever we made, we got into bigger supermarkets. So like, give me the whole thing. I'm like, give you the whole thing. And that's what happened. So we created such a demand that we ran out of it, and we couldn't create more. We needed more capital to expand. I couldn't get the capital. And then the larger chains were getting pissed off because they were demanding it and I couldn't supply it. So they just went elsewhere, And then also the margins shrunk. Like, to operate a business, you got to have a pretty good margin. Like 70% margin is good. If you get people coming into the tap room, that's what you want. I mean, in smaller breweries, the tap room is where you make a lot of money, selling it on premise, but I kind of got caught, we had the product. It was very good. It made really good beer.
Yeah.
But it's just, how to expand, and I couldn't. So.
Yeah. So many businesses are good. So many ideas are good, but if you're undercapitalized, that's one of the first kind of nails in the coffin, so to say. And so many people start out, they think they can bootstrap it. They think they can take money from the 9 to 5, but then, a kid breaks a leg and needs surgery or whatever. And then that money well dries up. Being well capitalized is paramount, and asking for more money than you need up front is an okay thing. The bank will be okay if it sits there, but the bank's not okay if you said I needed 50 grand, you burn through it all, and you come back for another 100 and you don't really have a plan to pay back the 50. That's a real problem.
That's a problem. I mean, I know some breweries that started up, they got $1 million or $2 million line of credit, and they built out the whole facility, and they ran out of money and they couldn't open.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. That's what people do. They burn through this stuff, and then that's crazy, right?
Yeah. Yep. Yeah, it is. So I know one thing that's important to you, and we'll kind of maybe look to wrap up our time together on this topic. Your relationship with your daughters.
Right.
It's not surprising to me that you got in a little bit of a dust up with teenage daughters at a dinner, right? That happens. I think that can happen on any given day. But I know your relationship with them is important, and I know we've talked about that. You know, my parents got divorced; it was really nasty. And my dad, you know, at one point, my sisters and I were manipulated into thinking our dad's an evil guy, really terrible. Wouldn't talk to him, wouldn't have any relationship at all. But my father kept going. He kept writing letters, silly little cartoons that he would draw out, and it's a shame I didn't think of it because I could have shown one of those here today. I've got a couple of them laying around, but it was that commitment to that these are my children, and no matter what season they're in right now, I'm always going to be their father. And that's always meant a lot to me. I have a great relationship with my father now. But so talk a little bit about your relationship with your daughters and what your commitment's been along the way.
Yeah, I mean, you know, just being there for your kids. I mean, whatever. And like you say, the pictures, like if I find a picture on, you know, the internet or something, I'll just send it to them or something, or a saying or something, or a video, and just kind of be in their lives, you know, even good morning, you know, send us sunshine, you know, and my daughters are my why. Everybody has to have a why in their life, like what keeps them going. So my 3 daughters are my why. I want to make sure that they get whatever they need in order to be successful. You know, my parents did that for me. My father actually was an entrepreneur too. He had his own business, which he did very well in. Towards the end, it kind of, you know, he was losing some clients, but he did provide for his family. And, you know, want to do the same for my daughters. And they're, like you said, they're my daughters no matter what. You know, I do have a relationship with the ex-wife, and sometimes we have arguments, but most of the time it's okay. And we co-parent, you know,
Right.
and you got to do it for the kids, and you can't use the kids as a tool, like as a tool against each other. That's horrible.
Yeah.
You know, it just screws them up. It doesn't screw you up. You know, so I try to do whatever I can for them. I think they love anime, right? We do anime conventions. You know, I got my.
Do you understand any of that? Do you understand the appeal of anime?
Oh, well, it's you know, we're into it together. We watch the movies. There's like Studio Ghibli films, and they have anime series.
Yeah.
My daughter is very artistic. She draws this stuff, right? She's in the Brooklyn.
Good for her.
Brooklyn High School of Arts. She's fantastic. We're going to see a college here, Pratt, in New York, in Brooklyn here. It's a college just for art. She wants to do that, so I support her 100%. You know, on my birthday in May, we're going to see a movie, an anime movie. Then they have an on stage, like they have characters on stage, and but we do that together, right? That's something we can kind of bond on.
Cool.
We got a Castle Point convention here in New Jersey. I got my Obi-Wan outfit, so I'm going to be Obi-Wan. They're going to be a character out of some kind of fun thing. So I got my lightsaber, and here we go. So we kind of do stuff together, you know. But you got to get on their level. You got to see what they like.
Yeah.
And support them 100%. Don't tell your kids to be a doctor or a lawyer if they really don't want to do that.
Yeah.
You're just going to screw them up, and you're going to spend hundreds of thousands of dollars, right? And in the end, they're going to say, you know what? I don't want to do that.
Right. Yeah. Yeah.
So
good place for a little bit of resentment to come in, even if you don't consciously say it. Subconsciously, it would almost have to exist. That's so cool, though, that you're into the anime stuff. My sons, I see them all the time on their phones. They can just sit there, and you know, if we would let them go for hours and hours and hours, they would watch anime and YouTubers and things like that. But yeah, I mean, we do support. I mean, my wife and I, we're there for every practice, anything that they're into, where mom and dad are allowed to come watch. We're there.
That's fantastic.
Yeah, we're there, and I think that's important. Even though you kind of look like those weird parents sitting there at practice, like what the heck? Like we don't stand over the coach. We don't offer advice. We're there for our kid, and so that our kid sees us, right? And we're actually planning. I think we're going to do it. There's a football camp in July that our youngest is going to, and it's up Poconos area of Pennsylvania, East Stroudsburg University. Well, close to the Poconos. And I think we're going to take like a little 3-day, 4-day, 3-night deal, and we'll pop in, watch some of the practice, and we'll go do our own thing and pop back in. And just show support to our children there. But that's so cool that you're doing the anime thing. I don't get it at all. I don't understand the appeal.
It's interesting. The movies. I'm interested in the movies. Fantastic. Artistry in the movies, and
Yeah.
you got to go to these conventions. It's like people are nuts. They're like they love this stuff, and they dress up as these characters, and it's very entertaining.
We have
So-
local to us, where I do business in my retail store in Lancaster, Pennsylvania. Maybe you've heard it. It's called Zenkai Con.
Was it a con? Oh, it's like an anime thing.
Cosplay, anime.
Yeah.
Pretty wild. And everybody like
I'm
dresses
always
up.
like, they're like, Dad, I need $50. I got to go on Amazon to buy a jacket. I'm like, what the hell? So give me a gift card. I'm like, all right, here you go.
Let's
But,
go to
the
Goodwill and get a jacket.
That's what I say. We'll spray paint it, whatever, gold or something.
Right.
But the family is one of my pillars in the Alpha Dad. So it's faith, right? You have to have faith in something, a higher power. Family is number 2. You got to make sure your family's taking care of what you're doing, going to their events. It means a huge amount to them. Maybe you don't think so now, but they're gonna know that Dad was there. Fitness, you got to have your fitness in shape. Your mind and your body has to be there. Finances, you got to watch out for your money and make sure you're doing the right thing. And then future, you got to set goals for yourself, because the first 4 won't matter unless you set some goals. So that's our 5 pillars in the Alpha Dad. But family is important, and it could be, taking your girls out to breakfast, whatever, and having a talk with them. What's happening? Taking your spouse out to date night, right? Once a week. It's your time or her or him.
Yep.
And just spending time together. It's very important. And if you don't do that, it's like a flower. If you don't water the flower, you don't give it sunlight, it's going to die.
Yeah. Well, it's awesome, man. I'm happy that you've got those relationships with your 3 daughters. Proud of you for having that co-parenting relationship with an ex-wife. That's not always easy.
No.
And really proud of you for all that you got going on, man. You've really been moving and shaking since I last saw you in Pennsylvania at the Power Up event there. And again, if you missed it at the start of the show, Michael's got a bunch of stuff going on. Crushingthefear.com, I think, is where everybody can go to kind of get a hold of you, kind of go down their own journey with you on a couple different things. You can connect with him this Friday, which is April 21st, at the Power Up event, tied to Miranda Jiggins' Total Boss event in Tampa, Florida. So hit up Michael's socials for that if you get time when you're watching this. You can get his book on Amazon, listen to his podcast, Crushing the Fear. Michael, I've had a lot of fun talking with you today, man. Appreciate you taking the time out to be on the show.
I appreciate you having me on. It's a really fantastic show that you're doing, and you're helping a lot of people.
Yeah, well, thank you. Thank you. Well, it's great guests to help me do it. Can't do it myself. So thank you again. Thank you again for the time. Really appreciate it. And say hi to your daughters for me. And, I'm going to try to make a commitment to it. Watch like maybe a half hour to an hour anime with my son.
Well, guess what? I didn't say the new wife has 2 daughters. So now I have 5 daughters.
Good
A
for
lot
you.
of estrogen. A lot of estrogen.
Good for you. Good for you. You got
to
a lot
double
of
down on
perspective.
the Alpha Dad, get some guns, shoot things.
You got a lot of perspective there in your life. So good for you.
Yeah.
All right, man. Hey, thank you for stopping by. Appreciate you. Everybody else, thanks for tuning in on this week, and we'll see you next week on the Big Ticket Life. Take care, everybody.
Thank you so much for taking the time to listen to this episode of The Big Ticket Life. You've heard from another amazing guest living their own big ticket life, and now it's time to live yours. First, I'd love for you to take me up on my free gift to you. Claim your gift at gift.thebigticketlife.live. That's gift.thebigticketlife.live. See, all your life you've been told what is and what isn't possible by the loudest voices from the cheapest seats. It's time to finally do life and business on your terms. Sure, you've heard similar things, but without clarity on what can be done, it's easy to have your customers, employees, maybe even partners, and your spouse keep you from truly living a big ticket life. My big ticket methods shift you into that investor seat. in your business away from commodity and away from competition into a market of one so you can finally live your own big ticket life. So my gift to you is for you to book your discovery call today, where we'll uncover first the Chivo behaviors, those chief everything officer behaviors that hold you back and why moving into the investor seat in your own business is critical. 2, we'll uncover the premium position that's up for grabs right now in your market that you're missing out on. And 3, which big ticket methodologies are just waiting to be dropped into your business to explode your sales and profits. So again, thanks for listening to this episode. I'd love for you to take action right now. Accept this gift, book your call, go to gift.thebigticketlife.live. Again, that's gift.thebigticketlife.live.